traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. As loyal listeners know, I'm all for anything that gets people off of bicycles. The whole cyclist culture, bike riding culture, cyclist makes it sound more regal than it really is. That whole thing I find obnoxious, generally speaking. Maybe it's my time in the big city of Chicago and the effort by Tiny Dancer and other mayors to turn Chicago into the Paris of the Midwest, car-free with bike lanes and so forth. Maybe it's just the obnoxiousness of that culture with everybody pretending to be riding in the Tour de France in full costume when they go out for a leisurely bike ride. I don't know. Not to mention it's dangerous. Recent data on deaths per billion, deaths per billion journeys taken, per billion hours traveled, per billion kilometers traveled. This is in the UK. Finds bike riding to be just under motorcycle, and just above pedestrian deaths when it comes to highest deaths per billion, those categories, by various modes of transportation. So foot, walking, private car, van, water, air, rail, bus, all much safer too. So I'm just trying to protect people's safety. Not really. Out of an abundance of caution, if we remember that favorite phrase from COVID. No, not really. Just because my own personal aesthetic taste. But of course, I would never actually impose that by law. So it's sort of funny that this happened in the UK, this incident the other week. A guy posted this on X who calls himself a rights of nature and climate campaigner, barrister and river garden, protecting trees and rivers. And yet he had this interaction with police and the police state in Britain. He was ticketed, was the cyclist, for riding his bike no-handed.
I would disagree with you, okay? That is why I ticketed.
So anyone cycling no-handed in rush hour in City London is going to get ticketed?
If I see them,
they
yes.
are. And you think you think that is a valuable use of City of London police time when bike theft is endemic? You don't even investigate most bike thefts. Let me finish. And where there's phone snatching going on, you could be getting robbers, and you're letting phone snatchers and bike thieves go to ticket law-abiding citizens cycling no-handed. Do you think that's an honestly good use of City of London police time?
So, cycling with no hands on the handlebars.
Yeah.
Okay. Places other road users at risk. Contravenes.
No, it doesn't. How does it? How does it?
We've already spoken about this.
This is amazing. So, cycling no-handed violates Article 2 of the Human Rights Act. Is that the right to life?
No, I said it endangers people.
You said it
on the road.
You just said it.
Okay.
Me cycling no-handed violates Article 2 of the Human Rights Act. I think we're done with that. It's rather silly, isn't it?
Well, excuse me, sir, but is this not the culture that you have suborned? Yeah, Article 2, right to life, the Human Rights Act in the UK. And he argues that the officer is essentially communicating that he endangers people's right to life if he falls off and injures them because he's riding no-handed. I mean, nanny state doesn't really quite capture it, does it? For more on the state of affairs in the UK and, bad ideas in the UK and in Western Europe have a tendency to travel over here and at least be embraced by the neo-Marxists in America. Dominic Green joins us. He's a columnist for the Washington Examiner, contributor to the Wall Street Journal, and a fellow of the Royal Historical Society, so mind your manners. Dominic Green, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hello, Dan. Thank you.
Yes. You've got the Britain police on the prowl looking for people riding bicycles no-handed, and then you've written this piece about the next iteration of the censorious left, which is this banter bill. Please comment and explain.
Right. Well, I mean, as for the cyclists, this is a good example of our slide into what has been called anarcho-tyranny, which is if you're a law-abiding person, you're going to be tyrannized by the state, fined for doing things like riding a bike in the wrong way. And on the other hand, meanwhile, everybody is left exposed to anarchy, which is the parts of society which simply cannot be policed. And this is a tendency across the West. We're either exposed to petty crime and often serious crime at levels some of us cannot recall having occurred in our lifetimes, or we're being slowly bureaucratized, taxed, and fined to death or even inertia. They'll take away our bicycles in the end. Now, the banter bill is a good case of this. It's called the banter bill because people in Britain can't take anything seriously except, of course, spoiling other people's fun. You heard that on the recording just now. The banter bill is part of a range of laws that the Labour government has tried to bring in. Building, it has to be said, on the stupid laws brought in previously by the Conservative government to stop people from speaking their minds. And here we do come to the serious bit, which, as we know, free speech is on the back foot, if not buried, in Britain. Earlier this year, when our half-wit Prime Minister Keir Starmer went to Washington, he was chastised in the White House by Vice President J.D. Vance for precisely this. And Starmer, of course, said it's not the thing. You can say what you like in Britain. Meanwhile, they want to pass a law which is part of an employment rights bill, which basically passes new responsibilities and taxes and burdens onto employers. And one of them is that the employers are responsible if the employees feel offended. Now, this means you could be working in a pub or a restaurant or a nightclub or in any kind of private space, and as you're carrying a tray of drinks across the room, you happen to overhear something you don't like. Perhaps someone says something about immigration. Perhaps someone makes a joke about trans rights. And you will be able to prosecute your own employer for having hurt your feelings. You know.
Yeah, I want to open a business in the UK. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So this is where we now are. And the bill has gone through the House of Commons and it's gone through the House of Lords, who are supposed to be the adults in the room. And now it's going to be tweaked a little here and there, but it could well come a joke. And that's very, very bad.
Well, I mean, right. And so all of this reporting about the end of cancel culture, I mean, maybe a little bit more so in the United States than in the UK, given your government. But I mean, just generally speaking, this is coming from a response from the body politic or the lack thereof. And what you're saying is you still have a British population that is lying supine in response to the anarcho-tyrannists, if you will.
Well, yeah. I mean, I would say two things. One, as my grandmother advised me, never jump off an ocean liner because it takes so long for an ocean liner to turn around that they'll never find you. And the modern state is this big, powerful ocean liner. And even if you want to change direction, it takes a long time to turn it 180 degrees. You're seeing much the same with the Trump administration in the U.S. However quickly you grab the wheel, it's really tough. This is like winkling people out of a bunker or something. You know, we built these institutions. They're full, generally speaking, of very left-wing people who have feathered their nests at the taxpayers' expense and will fight to the end, not surprisingly, to keep their nice jobs and pensions. Mm-hmm. As for the people of Britain, well, it's a tale of two cities in a way. There is London and then there's the rest. The government in London really seems to believe that it can tell everybody what to do. This is ridiculous. You can't tell the English, the Scots, the Irish, the Welsh what to do. No one ever has.
And how to feel about it.
Fact, yes, exactly. And the country is steaming. You know, for instance, controversial opinions that could offend your imaginary waiter or waitress under the banter bill, saying there's too much immigration. Well, 63% of people in Britain, when they were polled last week, said that. So that's the majority opinion. That's almost twice as high as the number of votes that went to Keir Starmer when he won the Prime Minister's job. So the idea that simply saying that should be considered as something offensive is just preposterous. And I'm afraid to say there's an even bigger one coming down the pike, which is the idea of an Islamophobia bill.
Oh, of course.
Now in Britain, the government insists that Islam is a race, which of course it's not. There are Muslims of all colors. Unfortunately, it's taking its definition of Islamophobia from the most narrow and highly politically motivated figures in both political parties, but also advisory groups, some of whom are front groups for people like the Muslim Brotherhood, who are no friends to democracy. If we have that definition would basically make it criminal or liable for prosecution, certainly, for you to say there seems to be a tension between certain groups' interpretations of Islam and liberal democracy, for instance. That would be a statement worthy of being arrested. That's nuts. I think you would agree. To American listeners, it sounds like some kind of stupid police state. And it is in a kind of incompetent way. What we're drifting into, and it is stupidity and desperation as much as anything else. We are drifting into a situation in Britain where if you don't agree with the party line, the power of the courts and the police will be used against you.
Well, just on that score, I mean, before we had the Squad, or the Socialist Spice Girls, as I call them, the Rashida Tlaibs and the Ilhan Omars and the AOCs of the world, and now Zoran Mamdani, you had Sadiq Khan, the mayor of London.
Yes, as he still is. Mayor Khan. Now, if you look what has happened in London, it's a very good example. Every time he's a little man, and every time he pops up out of his hole to tell us how much we're benefiting from diversity, he jumps back in before people start asking him about the crime statistics or about the fact there are, weekly marches of people rioting against the Jews. This is not the hallmark of a happy city. This is the hallmark of a city divided against itself, with a government, the mayoralty, encouraging the worst aspects of behavior for votes. This sounds familiar, of course, to big city politics in the U.S. I hate to bring the good people of Chicago in.
Yes, exactly right.
It does ring a bell.
Every big city in this country. I mean, that's the thing. It's what's happening at the federal level, and the efforts of the Trump administration is one thing. What's happening in blue states and big blue cities, which is all of them over 300,000 people, just about, is a very different thing.
Well, as you know, I'm a Bostonian of long standing, so I know all about the blue state machine, absolutely. Interestingly enough, what's happening in Britain is almost the opposite in some ways, that rather than having, big cities against the people, there's a huge popular movement developing in Britain, as there is in many European countries, and it's having trouble turning itself into an actual political movement, but nobody is happy with this. Nobody really wants, the vast majority of people want sudden change and improvement. Yeah. They want an economy that works. They want to be able to walk down the street in safety. They don't want to pay the highest taxes since 1947 or when they were still rationing. They want to be able to get on with their lives, to start businesses, grow families, do all the normal things. And as you know, the job of government is to prevent that and to soak everybody for taxes and reward its friends. And it's reached a kind of saturation point where, as you heard, people can be ticketed for riding a bicycle in the incorrect manner. But there are hundreds of illegal immigrants paddling across the English Channel every day and being put up in hotels at the taxpayers' expense.
Yeah, I mean none
of them are being sent back.
That bicycle thing is like a Monty Python skit, but it's like you cannot satirize this stuff. Not even John Cleese is that creative. I did want to get your reaction to this. I know you have become desensitized to funding media in the UK. You're a loyal supporter of the BBC by force, and I wanted to see if maybe you would pitch in and help NPR and PBS, because they've fallen on hard times. You may have heard. Catherine Maher is the CEO of NPR, and this is her effort to sing for her supper.
Hi, I'm Catherine Maher, CEO of NPR. Congress just voted to eliminate all federal funding for public media. This decision hurts communities across America. It means fewer local reporters covering town councils and state championships. It means fewer stories about local farms, fisheries, businesses, about what's happening in the State House, about musicians and civic leaders who make our communities tick. It means fewer voices reflecting the richness of who we are as a nation. fewer stories about what connects us and brings us closer together. And for millions, especially in rural areas, it means losing access to trusted local news, emergency alerts, and everyday connection. But you can help us keep this vital, vibrant service on air across our nation. For your neighbors, for you, and for millions of Americans. Please, donate now. Thank you.
Dominic, can I count you in for $5 a month?
You most certainly cannot. I have never paid the BBC's license fee. They will have to prize my radio out of my cold dead hands. As far as I'm concerned, it should be broken down, sold off, and set up into some, profitable streaming services, and then we can all watch Fawlty Towers as much as we like and be spared this kind of state propaganda, which is basically what it is. The sad thing about NPR is it was always very small budget. It would-be state propaganda, but it was a tiny little slice of a big market. And, what Catherine Marr's talking about there is, like most of NPR's broadcasting, complete nonsense. NPR broadcast across the nation so that urban liberals, when they went to their second homes, would still be able to travel within their media bubble and wouldn't accidentally be exposed to some Yahoo on AM radio playing country rock or, actually telling them what was happening around them. So I think it's a great thing that NPR has been defunded. When I came to the US 2005, and I'd listen to NPR. Now, I'd be doing the washing up or unblocking a toilet, and I'd listen to NPR. And it was all right. I mean, you could, obviously, they were liberals, there were limits, but they weren't completely stupid and insane. And then gradually, and it happened, maybe early 2010, somehow, it turned into a lecture from these weird-sounding children who are always telling you that you'd been naughty in some way. And so I simply stopped listening, and I was quite surprised, actually, to find it was still going and then had to be euthanized. But I'm all in favor of that. If there is genuinely a market for it, let people subscribe, and we'll see. And if there isn't, well, hey, let it go the way of the Whig Party.
Well, if with Catherine Marr in charge, I don't think you're going to get quality content anytime soon, but we'll see. Dominic Green, columnist for the Washington Examiner, contributor to the Wall Street Journal, and fellow of the Royal Historical Society. Dominic, thanks as always. Appreciate it.
A pleasure, Dan. Thanks.
And Dominic Green, join us on the Turnkey.Pro answer line.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at